As a crafter, I love trying out new things, and that's especially true when it comes to my vinyl cutting machine. From new materials to new techniques and everything in between, I love trying out new things and then bringing my findings to my craft buddies. So that's exactly what we're doing today. I've got some fun new techniques. I bet you that at least one of these you have not tried, even if you are a seasoned Cricketer, and I am so excited with how they turned out, and I can't wait to share them with you, so let's hop in. The first one is going to be DIY stickers. So recently, Cricut has come out with a lot of different updates to Design Space. They have updated them. They have added a specific piece of the software to make stickers. And what I have found is my way without using the sticker one, I prefer. So I'm going to show you how to quickly and easily make stickers. I'm going to show you how to make sure they're waterproof. So whatever you want to put them on, they will be good to go. These are quick and easy. From the time you import to the time you have stickers can be under 10 minutes. So let's go.
Step one to create our stickers is to add some artwork to Design Space. So this is just a brand new project on a blank canvas. And I found these really cute images on design bundles. They're also on Creative Fabrica, and I think some of these are also on Canva. So I'll have the details on where I get all the artwork down below. But I'm going to head over to upload image, and then I am going to drag over the files that I want. So they have these really adorable little craft supplies with these little faces. So I thought this would be cute to make some stickers out of this. So I'm going to upload it, apply and continue, and I'm going to make sure it's uploaded as a flat graphic, because then that is going to make it be able to be a print then cut item. Then I am going to continue with the upload process until I have all of my pieces added. All right, so now that everything is added to my canvas, I'm going to zoom out a little bit because these all added like super large. And you can tell what size they are right now by clicking and then checking up here by size. You can also do that on your app, on your phone or your iPad. Just tap it, and then down at the bottom it will show what size it is. Now this is going to be 24 inches wide. That's just crazy large. Instead, I'm going to go with let's make these guys 2 inches. Okay, so I've got 2 inches here. I'm going to do 2 inches for the tallest measurement. So the tallest measurement, I'll do 2.5 for my brush here. Tallest measurement, 2.5. And then I'm going to add an offset to it just because this helps with the cutting. I like to have a little bit of a border. If you want to have it cut right on the edge, you can go ahead and cut it just like this. What I'm going to do is bring these guys all back together over here. Zoom in a little bit. And we're going to add an offset of just 0.1. Nothing crazy. Apply. And then I also want this to be white. Then when you do that, you're going to select both of them if you're doing an offset and hit flatten. So then that way you've got that cute little white border. Now, if you decide that you don't want the white border, again, this is optional, but I like to do the offset just because I just like the way that it makes my stickers look. So also while we're here, I wanted to show you something if you have a situation like these scissors where there's a hole here in the center. So I have this flattened. I'm just going to unflatten it really quick. And before you flatten it, say you want to have those filled in with white, what you can do is you can change this to basic cut. I'm going to go to contour, and you can get rid of those holes. And then you just want to make sure you turn it back to print then cut. Because then if we change it to white, we can go ahead and center these again, align center, and then flatten, and you're not going to have that little circle. So you just have to switch it up here to the cut setting, go down here to contour, remove those, and then switch it back to print then cut. So that's nice if you've got like letters where you want the background to be full, but you don't want it to be super thick around the outside. That's a way to get rid of that. So here I've got most of my stickers on one sheet, but I have this one lone one here. But looking here, I could easily put it on this sheet. Sometimes Design Space wants to do that. So all you have to do is go up here, click these three dots, and hit Move Object. Then we can select whichever mat we want to move it to. So I want to move it to this mat. And then I can go ahead and twist this guy over here, and it will be ready to go. So then if you get like, okay, I don't want to have two of these, you can also hit Hide Selected, and that will help when you're trying to slot things onto the right mat. Okay, so we've got everything laid out here, so we're going to hit Continue, and we're going to start by printing. So I'm going to hit Send to Printer, And I want to make sure the bleed's on. I select my correct printer, make sure you know your page size, whatnot. And I'm printing on letter size sticker paper, so that's perfect. And we also want to use the system dialog box. So we're going to hit print. And this always happens, it shows up behind the window, so I need to go down here and grab it. And then all I need to do is make sure that my media is going to feed from the main tray, and we're good to go. So now I just need to load my sticker paper into my printer. We're going to hit print, and that will be step 1. Today I'm going to be using this vinyl matte sticker paper from the brand Zicoto. I get it from Amazon. They originally sent me some to try out years ago and I fell in love with it. So what you're going to want to do is just make sure that you are loading it into your printer so that it's going to print on the white side, not on the grid side. So I have to put it print side down in my printer, but just figure out what you need for your printer. Then once I hit print on my computer, it is going to send it right to the printer and it's going to print it out for me. These print so well, I use this for any type of sticker that I'm going to use. Cricut also sells a printable vinyl that I like, so I would recommend that. I would not recommend the Cricut printable sticker paper personally. I've had it run super bad, so just keep that in mind. Maybe they've updated it. It's been a few years, but I had a bad experience, so I didn't go back. Then once those are cut out, we are going to laminate them. Now, if you buy sticker paper that is laminated or waterproof already, then you will skip this step. But I like to do this because I had these on hand and I like the matte sticker paper to print on in the first place. Sometimes my waterproof that I've used has been a little runny with the sealant, and so I like this way, but you can buy it waterproof and skip this step. We're going to trim down this self-laminating sheet to fit within the binding boxes of the black corners, because that is what your Cricut machine is going to use to cut out your images. It's using it to calibrate, so then that way it knows right where the outside of everything is. Once it is all trimmed down, I'm going to peel off this top little area, and I'm just going to take a squeegee tool and apply it so that I don't have any bubbles. So go bit by bit slowly and try not to cover those guides too much. It ended up cutting fine for me. I went over the edge just a little bit, but also cutting it down helps you save on waste as well. So just keep that in mind as you're adding the lamination. But sometimes the Cricut won't read those guidelines if you have too shiny of a substance over the top, so just keep that in mind. So if you're laminating, once you're done with that, or when you're just going to cut the waterproof sticker paper, you're going to take that sheet, put it on a mat, and then the Cricut machine is going to cut, including that offset that we added in the Design Space software. When I have the lamination on, the cut setting I use on either my Explore or Maker models, it will also work on the Joy Extra, is that I like to use heavy cardstock and it cuts right through. Set it up just like you would vinyl, pop it in, and it's going to cut out all your stickers for you. And that's it. It is that easy. Now to get it off your mat, remember to peel your mat away, not your project away from the mat. So flip it over like I'm doing here, peel it back, and that is going to make it so your stickers aren't going to have curled edges. See, I told you, super quick and easy. If you want to use the Cricut sticker addition to Design Space, by all means, please do what works best for you. But this is my tried and true way. I've been making stickers for years using this, and it just works the best for me. So you can use whatever works for you, but if you haven't made stickers before, this is super quick and easy. I like to make stickers quickly too for custom gift wrap, to stick on cards. I like to also stick them on my planner, so the sky's the limit for what you can make with this.
At a recent event, I taught a workshop on how to wood burn, and I got so many questions, and I realized I haven't went into too much detail on my favorite torch paste here on my channel. It's been mixed in other videos, and so I wanted to put it in a Cricut video to make sure that I could share with you guys how easy it is to wood burn. This is made with just a simple stencil, and I also have this one that says in my crafting era with some craft tools on the side. Quick and easy to make, so let's hop on in.
Step one, when you're going to add a stencil to anything, is measure, measure, measure. Make sure that you know what size you want. And this is 14 inches across, so I think I'm going to go with 12 inches across to give myself some breathing room around the outside. I also have a second box that I measured, and that one is about 5 1/4 wide. So for the big one with the dividers, I'm going to do this open 24-hour craft room design. I found it in Cricut. I thought it was super cute. I've been saving it for a project and I think it's perfect for this one. So I just want to make sure up here for size, it is 12 inches wide. Now I am going to put this on either side of my Now, I'm just going to do it on the front side of my box, so in case for some reason I want it to be blank, I can have the opportunity to turn it around. But if you want to do it on the front and the back, you're just going to click this and then go up here to duplicate, and then you'll have 2 of them because you're going to need 2 stencils. Then we are going to bop over here because I'm going to use this in my crafting era for my square box. So I've got this at 5.25, and I'm actually going to duplicate this because I want to have this on the front and the back. I want all the edges to be printed. We're going to move this object because there's a ton of open space on this first mat. So we're going to put this here. Scooch these over to give myself, I'm just dragging and sliding. So then that way I have a little bit of breathing room around my stencils. I like to have that when I'm going to create it. And then I'm going to go back here and do the same thing with this one, move it to this, because there's no need for 2 mats. Sometimes Design Space has a mind of its own. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cut this on the vinyl setting because I have a brand new blade. But if you have a dull blade or it's just not cutting how you want with the intricate pieces, you can cut on the iron-on setting. That's a fun hack to know. I'm just using some permanent vinyl here for my stencil. This is great for scraps too if you have a large scrap piece. I'm using my brayer to apply it to the mat just to make sure it sticks down. I haven't been a huge fan of the brayer in the past, but honestly I've been using it lately on some of my older mats and it really helps your stuff stick down. You can get it on sale on Amazon, really inexpensive, but it's a nice tool to have in your arsenal. Then we're just going to cut it out and I had an issue. My one Cricut machine, it got caught on the vinyl setting, so I just trimmed those and I went back through and cut those on the iron-on setting and everything was fine. Then to weed them, we're going to weed as a stencil instead of as a decal. I've said this a lot of times before, but basically what I mean by that is instead of getting rid of the outer vinyl, you are going to get rid of the inner vinyl, essentially where you want your wood burning to happen. So we want the words to show up, not the outside. Once I have everything weeded out, I'm going to take my handy dandy, tried and true, trusty paper transfer tape that I get from Amazon. I've also gotten it from Expressions Vinyl in the past, but it goes in and out of stock. So the Amazon one, they usually always have in stock, so I will link that down below. And this helps because it is going to be easier to release your stencil on this wood surface. If your transfer tape is too sticky in this step, you will get very frustrated, trust me. I'm going to get it centered. I'm just using my fingers here to make sure that I have about 2 fingers width on either side of my box. And then I am just applying it and removing that paper transfer tape. Now the last step before I add my torch paste, which is going to allow us to burn the wood, I am adding some blue painter's tape around the outside. You can also use masking tape, washi tape. You just want to create a barrier so in case when you squeegee the torch paste on, you don't accidentally get it where you don't want it to burn. Then the torch paste is literally the easiest wood burning material that I have ever used. I like this a lot better than the markers because I have found the markers tend to run underneath my stencil. Here you just apply it kind of like a silk screen transfer or like you are screen printing. You're going to scrape it across, make sure that that orange tinge gets on all of your open wood where you want to burn, and then you can scrape off the excess and put it back in the container. So you really only need a little bit. I have been making stuff for almost a year now, I think actually over a year, and my whole jar is still pretty much intact. So you get a ton of use out of one little jar of torch paste. Once you've got it all applied, we are going to remove the stencil and then you can let it dry a little bit before removing the innards of the letters. Once you have everything removed, you're still going to be able to see where you applied that torch paste, which is great because then you know that you've got it where you want it. And then I also just repeated all those steps on the 4 sides of my smaller box. Then it was time to wood burn. I like to do it outside, making sure it's well ventilated. I also like to wear my sublimation heat resistant gloves just for safety. Also, it does get a little fumy, so I like to wear a mask, and you just want to make sure that you are out in an open area for safety. Safety always first. Now, this is in real time. You're going to want to keep moving your heat gun around to get the proper burning without actually getting crazy burn spots. So you're going to want to just keep moving it around. Don't camp out in one spot and wait for it to fully burn. Let it semi-burn, move on to the next one, and then you can always go back and finish that off. That is going to help you so you don't have a ton of crazy burns. But once it's done, I let it cool outside so then it doesn't have any like burn smell to it, and it's good to go. I love this box so much. It is perfect for my little organization needs in my craft room. This is a box from Target. The other one is from Hobby Lobby, which I will link those down below. And the other thing I want to mention is I get a lot of questions about sealing and the heat gun. So number one, the heat gun, you want to make sure that you have a high heat gun. The Seek one is great because it has a concentrated nozzle. So I will link that from Amazon down below. And then also for sealing, if you want to stain this, please do it after you burn the wood. You don't want to burn on a stained or finished surface because that can cause fumes and chemical reactions that you don't want. So only do this on unfinished wood.
I'm beyond excited that myself, Shannon from the Daily DIYer, Courtney from Creative on the Cheap, and Jennifer from Little Bit of Calm and Crazy will be back in Texas this September for the Pinners Conference. We did it last year, and if you're not familiar with the Pinners Conference, no worries, because I wasn't until we went last year either. But I will have my blog linked up above as well as down below if you want to check it out and potentially come see us in Fort Worth in September. Well, my brain has been racking, trying to figure out what I'm going to make. I usually do DIY gifts for the girls, and then I also like to make things like I did last year to hand out to the craft buddies that are there. I saw someone on TikTok make some basically faux enamel pins, so they're like shrinky dink pins, and these were way easier than I thought. I was a little intimidated, but I made glue guns, and I made earrings, and I made Whiskey Craft Buddy logos. So many different options. So let me show you how easy it is to make shrinky dink pins. Trust me, you're gonna wanna check it out.
So step one to make these pins is we've got to get our designs into Cricut so then that way we can cut them. So in Design Space, I'm going to click Upload here in the corner, and then I'm going to go to Upload Image. Now these files for Cricut pins I will have over on my blog, so if you want to make these crafter type ones that I'm making, you can grab that, or you can grab your artwork from anywhere. You can get downloadable clip art, or you can go into Canva. There are so many different ways. You can also just go into Cricut Design Space and find an image. So whatever you want to make your pins look like, you can go ahead and do that. So I'm going to drag these in here, and I'm going to hit continue. And then I'm going to hit apply and continue, and I want it to be a flat graphic because this is going to be for print then cut, which is what we're going to do. So now that I have everything added to my canvas here, I have resized them to about 2.5 inches. I kind of go in because they're not all the same shape and figure out, okay, what's the bigger of the two sizes. I do that about 2.5. So this one I'm going to update to 2.5. Once you click make it, it's going to slot everything onto the page just like it did for the stickers. So we're going to do the same thing, click the 3 dots, get it all arranged how you want, and then we are going to use the system dialog box again, print exactly the same, and you want to make sure that on your shrink plastic you check the box. Mine says print on the frosted side, so I loaded mine into my machine and printed just like we did the stickers. It's nothing crazy. So the first one I printed was completely the wrong size, so I went on a Google hunt and found that if your shrink plastic shrinks down to 1/5 of the size or 20%, you need to take your final measurement, so I wanted mine to be 1.5 inches, and take that times 249%. That will get you approximately the right size. So that's what I did for all of mine, and that's what I ended up getting for these sizes. Then once you print them out, you are going to go back in just like we did with the stickers, and we are going to select foil acetate. You may have to browse all materials, but you're going to select foil acetate, and then you're also going to select more pressure. I cut with my deep cut blade, which you can insert this into an Explorer machine or a Maker machine, and it just made the process a lot easier. So it does say you can cut foil acetate with your regular fine point blade, but I would recommend the deep cut blade. To replace it, all you have to do is swap out this housing, pop in the deep cut blade and the deep cut blade housing, and you are good to go. So the machine is going to go through the same process that it did with the stickers. It's going to scan those black corners, and it's going to cut everything out for you. Once done, I popped it off of the mat, popped off all of my pieces, and then repeated it for the second sheet of Shrinky Dinks. Everything cut really good. There were a couple that I had to pop out myself, but nothing had to use any excessive force, which was good. I think that was on the right setting. Then it was time to shrink the Shrinky Dinks. So I preheated my oven to 330 degrees, and I put a cookie sheet with some parchment paper already in there while it was warming up. So this is warm. Then I added a couple pieces to the parchment paper. I wanted to make sure there was plenty of space in between them so they didn't touch each other, and I popped it in. Now the key here is you have to keep your eyes on the shrinky dinks. Don't walk away, because if you do, they will be done in no time. Like, you don't have time to walk away. This is about 30 seconds to a minute, and once they start flattening back out, you're going to want to get them out. And then I added another piece of parchment paper and a smaller cookie sheet on the top to essentially push it down while they were still warm and malleable. And here is how they turned out. They did go down to 20% size, and they also got a lot thicker, and it was so fun to watch them. But definitely do not walk away. But if you don't walk away, these are definitely something anybody can make.
After those were shrunk down, I definitely wanted to seal them, and I saw online that a lot of people recommend putting a clear coat on so that both your super glue for the pins as well as your resin will stick. It's also nice if you're not adding resin to give it a protective coat, and so I did both sides. I just put it on a cooling rack outside, gave it a quick spritz, and they were good to go. Then I brought them back inside and tried UV resin for the first time. Now, there are definitely some kinks I still need to work out, but overall it was not too hard of a process. The UV resin is hardened by a UV light, so I bought this kit off of Amazon. The light isn't the best, but it definitely did the job for me. All you have to do is put on the nozzle of the UV resin, apply it to your pins, and then you can take the little tools that it comes with to help push the resin out to the outside to essentially create a dome effect. Then when that's ready, you put it underneath the light. I ended up doing 2 rounds of 150 seconds just to make sure everything was set. And I loved it because it was not sticky after the fact. And then I added some super glue to these little pin backs I got from Amazon, stuck them on the back, and these pins are good to go. I've got this little coffee one, I've got a printer, so many different options, and I definitely plan on making more so that we can have some fun pins to share with folks we see at pinners. So these shrinky dinks, I cannot get over them, and it's too funny because last week Courtney actually did use this for a completely separate project on her channel, and so these shrink plastic shrinky dinks are coming back, so you will definitely want to check it out. I will have all my supplies linked down below. The number one item that the Craft Buddies have purchased over the years from my Amazon storefront and recommendations are hands down my screen printing supplies. The kit I bought a couple years ago, I still use it now, and when I did my original screen printing video that takes you from start to finish on how to do a shirt, sweatshirt, koozies, bags, whatever you want to screen print, I only did one color, multiple colors. So today I'm going to show you how you can do a 4-color screen print. This is Talk Crafty to me. I found some fun neon screen print, and this technique I'm going to show you, you can do anywhere from 2 to however many colors your heart content. So let me show you quick and easy how you can screen print not only one color, but up to as many as you want.
So before we can get our stencils to screen print, we need to create them and add a little bit of extra something to them so we can line them up perfectly when you are going to add it to your shirt. Because unlike heat transfer vinyl, where you can kind of pick it up and move it a few times to get it to the right spot before you add heat, once you put that ink down, it's on your shirt. So here is how I do it to make it work every time. So here we are using 4 different colors. You can use this anywhere from 2 to a million colors, whatever is what you want to do with your project. You just have to get as many of these little marking squares that I'm going to show you how to make as colors that you have. So we've got 4 colors, so we're going to need 4 squares. 0.75, and I'm going to copy and paste it. So I've got 2 of them, and I'm going to select them, and I'm going to align them vertically. So now that we have our set of 2 squares, we're going to need 3 more sets to be the 4 different colors. So I'm going to select both of these, and I'm going to attach them, so then that way they aren't going to move on me, and I'm going to duplicate it 1, 2, 3 times. We're going to take these groups up here, and we're just going to line them up with those squares. So we've got 4 of the same size squares stacked up. Now you can select this and do the align again just to make sure. Okay, so we're going to select one group, and then we're also going to select one of these. So these are all one color. So I'm just using shift, but you can click both of them, and we're going to attach those. Now we've got orange squares. We're going to take the next set of squares and another attached group and attach them. Then we've got pink squares. You're going to have each color, and you're also going to have these squares. And then the one last super important thing you want to do before you cut them out is when you hit make, we are going to mirror all of them. So you want to hit the mirror button over here, just like you are going to do iron on vinyl. And that is because of the screen printing process. We apply it backward to the screen, which you'll see in a minute, but you want to make sure that these are all mirrored. Then I'm just going to use some 12 by 12 sheets of scrap vinyl to cut these all out, and then we will get weeding and creating our shirt. So you can cut out your stencil in whatever vinyl you want. To help me, I thought it would be helpful to have colors that were similar to the ink, so then that way I could get everything, straightened out so I didn't mess anything up. Well, that didn't help me. So the first one I cut, I didn't mirror it, so I made sure to go back and remind you guys to mirror it. So that was fail number one. Then I cut it a little too big. I did 12 inches and I didn't have a screen that big. So on my third attempt, I got it down to 9.5 inches wide, and that was what I needed. So I make mistakes all the time. It's kind of part of the process, but it is not a waste if you learned, and I will not be making those mistakes again. Then all you have to do is trim those down, and then I use paper transfer tape to add it to my screen. When you are weeding, you're weeding it just like a stencil, and as you can see, it's mirrored here, so it is backwards. But once we get our paper transfer tape applied, we're going to peel that back carrier sheet off, and then we are going to just set the screen right on top. This is my tried and true screen printing kit I have had for years. I have 2 kits now, so I decided to make 3 screens this first go. But if you only have one, you could easily wash it and then just dry it with a blow dryer in between, and then you can do all these different colors. It'll take you a little bit longer, but it's so worth it. It lasts so much longer than heat transfer vinyl. I'm just going through and peeling off carefully the paper transfer tape, and then once everything is transferred on there, you can flip it back over and push it down with the squeegee like you did in the first place, and that will help with any bubbles. You're also going to want to make sure that you add some masking tape or painter's tape to the open sides. That can either be excess vinyl or the tape. That's going to make it so your ink doesn't get everywhere. Now for the layering trick. Those boxes that we made in Design Space, we're going to add some painter's tape underneath it. So then that way we can get ink on it to mark where the subsequent screen should go, but it is not going to get on our shirt. I like to use this little popsicle stick similar to how I applied my torch paste in the previous project, and I'm using the squeegee that came with the kit to apply it. Now, if you would like a slower tutorial on how to screen print, I have that full video. So now that you know how to add different colors and layer them, you can use them together. I also go into far more detail on how to clean the screens and all that fun stuff. So if you want to check that out, head over to that video, which will be up above and down below. Then when you are done screen printing that first color, you are going to either let it dry on its own, or I'm using a hair dryer. And then once it's dry, you can add the next one, line up those squares, and screen print. Then you're going to do the same thing. So remove it. You're going to use something to dry it or let it dry on its own, and then use those squares to line it up. I had to trim my tape a little bit because it was going to interfere with the actual design. But then I went through with this blue, applied it, and this is a new speedball screen, and I don't think I used enough pressure because I was worried about that one lone bubble. I should have pressed harder because it was a little bit of a flop. But I'm glad this happened because I can show you. You just want to use a little detailed brush, and you can go back in with some more ink and fix it so your whole project is not lost if this happens to you. So don't throw in the towel, you can fix it. Then dry, add your fourth color. And this is my last color, so I got everything added, peeled it off, and then at that point, once your last color is on there, you don't need your tape on there anymore, so you can peel those off, and you've got all of your colors. Now, I've said this many times before, but I think this lasts so much longer than heat transfer vinyl. It doesn't crack. I have ones from years ago that have no wear to them, and you want to make sure that it is set with some heat. So you're going to do 320 degrees for 40 seconds, and you can also use an iron for this because 320 is what you can use an iron for heat transfer vinyl. So just make sure you crank it up to the cotton setting, get that set, and you've got a fun multicolor sweatshirt, shirt, tote bag, whatever you want to screen print. If you haven't tried it, this is definitely one of my favorite things to do with my Cricut, so I would highly recommend it.
I am so excited to wear this. It's going to be so nice and comfy. Well, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to head down to the comments and let me know what your favorite thing was that you learned today in this video. I love learning what you guys like to learn. That helps me inform future content so I can keep making videos that you guys love to watch. Another huge thank you to my craft buddies who are subscribed here and who are part of the 250,000 subscribers here on my channel that crafts every week, and it just makes my heart so happy. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here and supporting this channel. It helps support my family, and I will never be able to thank you guys enough. Also, if you love videos like this, be sure to give it a thumbs up so I know you want to see more, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye!